morning, everybody. It is day 12 of the Suffering 2.0, day 12 of 84. And this morning I was 231.2 pounds. So I'm up 0.4 from yesterday. So it's not a big deal. It's either because I had a little bit more sodium yesterday, or I drank a little bit more water, or just simply my body's retaining a little bit more fluid from inflammation than the day before. It could be all kinds of stuff. So I'm not worried about that 0.4, because normally towards the end of the week I stall out. So I'll normally see steady weight loss from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Normally Thursday, Friday I stall. Saturday, Sunday I drop. So either Wednesday, Thursday, or Thursday, Friday is typically when my body weight stalls. So I'm not surprised to see a stall from yesterday till today, because it only happens 2 days of the week. I actually will not be surprised if tomorrow my weight stalls again, because I train my legs tomorrow. So I want to have I train my legs today, so I'll have a lot more inflammation. So if my weight is close to the same tomorrow as it is today and yesterday, I'm not going to be surprised either. It's normally Sunday when the weight drops. So we'll just pay attention to it and see what happens. Either way it goes, I dropped 2 pounds last week. So even if I don't drop anything this week, last week makes up for any weight loss this week that doesn't happen, which I just don't see that happening. I know my weight's going to be down this week regardless. I'm not sure how much, but I know it's going to go down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and eat my oatmeal and then head out to work. I'll see you on the walk. Got a little bit different weather than what we normally have in the mornings for my walk, but it's still beautiful in its own way. I'm not going to be discouraged. It's warm and muggy and super steamy feeling. In fact, my beard feels like it's getting wet just from walking through the fog. Like, it legitimately feels like my beard is wet, like I just got out the shower. It's crazy. I'm pretty sure in a little bit I can probably like wipe my beard and my hand will be wet. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, I know I'm going to have fluctuation in my weight from day to day. I've been doing it long enough to know come the end of the week, the last few days, there's a stall. Like I said earlier, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's a drop. Thursday, there's normally a drop. And either Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the weight stalls, or Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday. Something like that. But there's normally always a stall at some point during the week for a couple days. And that tells me that the first couple days my body was pretty much depleting all the glucose. And then as the weeks went on, as the days go on during the week, as the glucose gets depleted, you get to a point where you stall out. And it's not because you're completely depleted in glucose, it's just your storages, like your additional, like the max capacity that they can hold is down. So it's like running on half a tank of gas. You can put more in there, but you still have enough to get the job done. Now, I know at this point, my body's going to start consuming fat, more not relatively available. It's going to shift over to consuming more fat for energy instead of just consuming all glucose. First half of the week, all glucose. Towards the end of the week, it shifts, and then it starts when it consumes fat for energy and preserve glucose for stored energy for explosive movements and stuff like that. So that's why I don't stress the stalling, because I know now my body is shifting from burning glucose to burning fat. Now you can be like, that doesn't work that way. That's not scientifically correct. You don't know what you're talking about. The anecdotal, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. It works for me. In my head, that's the way it works. It makes sense. As I have a ton of glucose in my body, it prefers to use glucose. As the week goes on and I don't eat enough glucose to fill my muscles out to 100% capacity, it slowly drops the amount of glucose in the muscles, making my weight go down. And then it hits a stalling point where it doesn't want to consume any more glucose out the muscle. So then it decides, let's hold on to the glucose we have and let's burn a little bit of fat instead to see if we can't
hold out a little bit longer without burning all our glucose up. And then you burn fat, and then you restore your glucose, and then you repeat the cycle. That's the way it works in my head. So that's the way it's working, right? Because it's like people talk about placebo effects. It's a placebo. Well, then the placebo is working. No, it's just doing it long enough. It's just how it goes every week. It's weird, but it doesn't seem like it should work. It doesn't seem like you should have one day out the week that you overeat carbohydrates to a dramatic amount and then you lose weight from it. It just seems odd. Like, hold on, taking one day out the week and overeating a bunch of carbohydrates and you lose weight from it? Yeah, shouldn't you eat less on a day? Not more? You would think. But that's just not the way the body works. I could go into the whole thing about the way the body works and the mechanicals of the storing glucose and the pancreas and releasing insulin and the T cells opening up to draw the blood sugar out, going into the muscle tissue, swelling it up with stored energy known as glucose, because it's 2 to 3 parts every carbohydrate. Like, for every carbohydrate you consume, it's 1 to 2 grams of water that the body stores in the muscle. You know, we could get into all that, but I'm not going to. All I know is I am making amazing results, man. Absolutely amazing results. I'm so happy with the way things are going. Last night, my chest looked amazing. Bulbous, big, thick, juicy. I was feeling, the weights were feeling heavy in my hands. But I said, you know what? Let me just do what I can do. And let me just clang this weight. Let me just clang and bang it. I don't care. Last week I did 65s. Let me go up to 70s. Not because I had to go to 70s. It's just because, you know what? I did the 65s last week, so I either want to go a little heavier and get a little bit more load, or I want to go a little lighter and get a little bit more reps, because I want to do one or the other. I don't want to come in every single week and use the exact same weight for the exact same reps. I just feel like that's like plateauing. So I like to make sure that I'm going to do something that's super close to what I did last week, but in a way that I make progress. And that progress can either be getting more reps than weight or getting more weight than reps. But last night, like I said, I was feeling a little heavy. But I was just like, you know what? I really wanted to go a little heavier tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways. And I did. And it was successful. I think I got 8, almost 9 reps with the 70s on incline dumbbell press. Then a bunch of but a bunch of drops, a rest pause to drop set. And that's the thing too, man. Whenever I'm working out, I don't stop at the end of the set. Like, once you're like, I can't get no more, that's the end of the set. Rest. I talked about this last night. If you do a 2-minute rest and you're doing sets of 12, okay, let's say you do 4 sets and you work up to 70-pound dumbbells and you're doing sets of 12, and you do a set of 40s and the 50s and the 60s, and then you go to 70s, and you're resting 2 minutes between sets, and then you do 1 set of 12, and then you rack the weight. Now it's on to the next exercise. Did you really get as much as you could out of that? Probably not. You probably didn't. You left so much in the tank, it's unreal. So it's like, well, why don't you rest 2 more minutes and hit those 70s again? And see if you get 12. Rest 2 minutes, hit them again. See if you get 12. And on and on and on and on and on until you can no longer get 12. Once you start dipping below 12, then go to the next exercise. Now you have pushed that movement to where your body can't recover in 2 minutes to be able to perform the same workload. So if your body can continuously mimic the workload in that rest period, are you really stressing it in a way that's going to cause it to grow? I mean, think about it. If you can continuously replicate that over and over and over and over again, doing 1 set of 12, then moving on. I don't care if you take it to failure. I went until I literally couldn't lift the weights no more, and then I racked them. I went hard enough. Yeah, but if you rested 2 minutes, could you do it again? And if the answer is yes, you're leaving a lot on the table. So then do it again. And again and again and again and again until you can't go no more. So that's what I do. But I do a 5 rep thing. So I will do rest pause, which I call them rest pause, but really it's like mini sets. So what I do is I do my top set, as many as I could possibly get. Then I rest between 3 to 10 breaths. Then I go again, 3 to 10 breaths. Normally in the beginning, with the heaviest weight, I rest 10 breaths, hit it again. 10 breaths, hit it again. 10 breaths, hit it again. Because in 10 breaths, you're going to recover to do more reps. But you're not going to recover enough to mimic the same amount that you did the first time. So you do this until you get down to 5. Once you get down to 5 reps, then you do a drop set. You lower the weight by however much, it doesn't matter. And then you continue to do the same thing. As the weight gets lighter, the rest becomes shorter. So instead of resting 10 breaths, you start resting 7 or 6 or 5 or 4 or 3 breaths. And then you see how fast your body can recover to continuously to get over 5 reps with that weight. Once you can't get 5, you drop the weight again. If there's a possibility, if the option's there, you do it again. And then once you can no longer perform 5 reps after doing a few drop sets, now you're done. Now you move on. Now you're done with the movement. Try doing that at least 2 out of your 4 movements. 1 movement out of the 4, if you do 4 exercises, or 2 out of the 4. If you're only doing 3 exercises, do that 1 out of 3. Do it for like 5 weeks and see what happens. I bet you're sore, and then you're gonna get used to it, and then you're not gonna be sore no more, but you're gonna still see results. Like, people talk about mechanical tension, and people talk about like time under tension, mechanical tension, load output, blah, 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 blah. But no one just talks about working hard. Nobody talks about just working hard. Like, who cares? Mechanical tension. That sure is a fancy sounding phrase. Mechanical. Biomechanical tension. Like, that's a fancy phrase. It's a buzzword. It's catchy. Oh, you got to get mechanical tension. Tension's a big word. That's a fancy word. That sounds cool. You know what else sounds cool? Mechanical. Mechanical is another really cool word. Mechanical can mean a lot of things. So if we say mechanical tension, then that sounds sophisticated and sounds complicated. Mechanical tension. Buzzwords. Just work hard. Load the muscle. Push it as hard as you can. And then continue to push it more than that. That's how you're going to get the most results that you're going to ever get in your life. Not from doing some silly, slow, isometric, pause, stretch, flex, hold, squeeze, isometric. That has its time and place. If you need recovery, if you're beat up, and you need to take some time to kind of get your body back to where you're ready to beat the crap out of it again, if you need a break from the load or the intensity, that's the stuff I do to deload. If I'm like feeling like, man, I can't do any intensity today, I go with volume and I do all that stuff. That's deload. That's not building. That's not making progress. That's literally, let's stand still and just kind of like try to do something without losing nothing, recover, and then get back to actual training. That crap isn't training to me. All that is just spinning your wheels in place. I don't know. I just think it's funny that a lot of people want to talk about what they do or what to do, but they never show what they're doing. I just find it comical. And I'm not saying take my advice, and I'm not trying to be a help channel, and I'm not trying to be an advice channel. I'm just telling you guys what I'm doing and what's working for me. I'm 38 years old, and I'm telling you this right now. I'm getting the best results of my life right now, doing what I'm doing right now, over everything else I've ever been taught and learned from all these other people. And listening to everybody else kept me standing still. When I went back to my mindset, when I made the most results in my life when I was 20, whenever I was 20 years old, I didn't know anything. I just went in the gym and worked as hard as I could, as long as I could, and did as much as I could. Got the best results. That's my mindset now. Like, just go ham, clang and bang, you know? Clang and bang. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off now, finish my walk, and see you guys in the next clip. And we are in the gym, ready for another leg night. This is
Going to be a fun night. So I'm doing 5 sets of everything, 20 sets. Doing 5 sets of 20 reps of everything I'm doing. So I'm gonna start with quads. I'm gonna do 5 sets of 20 leg extensions, and then 5 sets of 20 belt squats, hack squats, and then I'm gonna move to leg curls, and then I'm gonna do 15 reps on the Romanian deadlifts, and then another 20 reps on the back extension. So super, super, super high volume today. Don't have a whole lot of energy. Feeling a little drained, a little worn out, a little tired. And I don't know if it's just because it's towards the end of the week or what, but I am just feeling a little tired. So hopefully moving and training gets my blood flowing, and that wakes me up, because I absolutely hate feeling tired from my workout. This is set number 5 right here. Is my top set. I'm doing 120. Just for 20 straight reps. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy on leg night. Just trying to get all 5 sets to 20 without hitting like actual failure or anything like that. Just straight through, you know. It's what works best for my legs, so I'm not going to try to figure out some type of programming whenever I already know what works. Just a smooth 20. So I think I have something going on in this hip. My right hip. Feels like it's my glute medius is tight, and it's like shooting down my quad through my IT band. And it does not feel good at all. I tried stretching it out a little bit here and there, but definitely going to have to do some deep tissue work this weekend, because it is really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. Everything else feels good. It's just it's really, really tight over here. Again, just a straight set of 20. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. Just see, even when I just stood up, I could feel it right there in my IT band, right in my hip. I got my hips to pop, but it still hasn't released. So it has to be like something's tight pulling on a nerve. Last week I did 205 for 20 my top set. This is 215 for 20, so same reps, 10 pounds heavier, massive win. It felt better after my 3rd rep. I didn't feel it, so it's definitely probably like a tight muscle on some nerves or something. So I'm working on stretching and doing some deep tissue on it this weekend. Hopefully I can get it loosened up.
So I lean into the bar on the belt squat, like the peg for the weight with my hip. I just lean into it real hard and bear down, and it's a lot looser now. So it is just muscular. I think it's my glute medius or something like that that's tight and just pulling the SI joint and it's shooting down my IT band. So doing that, it feels significantly better. So I really do need to do some tissue work because walking 2 hours a day, I think my hips are just getting tight in general just from walking so much. So I just need to address it and stay on top of it, prehab versus rehab. I'm not going heavy enough on anything to cause any damage, so I'm not worried about the load of what I'm doing. It's just muscles get tight from doing activities constantly. That's it for quads. I'll move to hamstrings now. Like I said, I'm not doing nothing crazy. It's only 205 pounds or 15 for a set of 20. And it's like, oh, it's really light. It's a lot of reps, but it's really light. You're doing the jump volume, but the endurance has to build and the conditioning has to build. And as your conditioning gets better and your endurance gets better, then the work capacity goes up. So you don't go up in reps, you go up in weight. Then you build the conditioning, you build the endurance, then the work capacity goes up, then you add more weight. And the next thing you know, in a couple of months, you're north of 300-400 pounds and you're doing it for sets of 20. And then your legs look amazing. It's the slow game. It's not a hurry up and jump. Oh, well, I did 20 last week for 205, so let me jump to 275, and then let me jump to 365. And you hit a wall, and then you get hurt. It's the slow game. And I know, it's like, hold on, man. Isn't that the exact opposite of what you were just saying this morning? Weren't you just saying, pick a weight, do it for as many sets that you can, resting the same duration until you can no longer get the same amount of reps before you move on? Or do mini sets or drop sets or short rest periods or whatever, right? Rest pause, everything else. Yeah, I was saying that. But the cool thing about fitness is anything you do is going to debunk something else. Everything that's right is going to make something else wrong. Everything that's wrong is going to make something else that's right. There is no one way. There is no right way. It's just what works for you. And what works for your shoulders may not work for your back. And what works for your back may not work for your legs. And what works for your legs may not work for your chest. So some things are better for certain muscle groups. So I know for me, my legs respond better to straight sets, high volume, high sets, a lot of reps and a lot of sets. My shoulders are kind of the same. They respond better to high volume, a lot of reps, a lot of sets. My chest, high intensity. Back, high intensity. Arms, high intensity. So certain muscles just respond better to certain stimuluses. And ultimately, it's not about one giving program or one training style or high intensity or high volume, or it's about none of it. And it's about all of it. It's about what is going to work best for what you're training, your body style, your body type, and everything like that. It's just getting the absolute most that you can out of every training session and the best way possible to get the most amount of growth and results. So like I said, everything's contradictory. There's everybody's right, and honestly, everybody's wrong. Because everybody that has done anything has experienced some type of mild success. And at some point, they figured out that there was a better way to do it, which debunked what they were doing before, which led them to do something different, which was better than what they did before, which debunked what they were doing before. And it just goes on and on and on and on. As you do better, you get better, things evolve, things change, techniques, styles, training, all kinds of stuff is just constantly changing. It never stays the same. You cannot do the same thing for 20 years and expect to continuously get new results. You have to change it up. As you get older, your body changes. And things just don't recover as well, or they recover better, or things adapt, or they don't adapt. It's all over the place, and it's different for everybody. I guess if that makes sense. I hope it does. Here's something too. I think I really want a Smith machine. I have 2 power racks over there. I only ever use one. When I was powerlifting, I used both of them, and I had multiple people in here training with me. I no longer powerlift, and I don't have multiple people in here powerlifting with me, so it's like I don't need 2 power racks. So I'm seriously debating on getting rid of one of them and getting a Smith machine. Okay, this is 65 pounds. We're gonna see if we can get all 20 with this. My hamstrings are tender right now. Woo, man. That started burning somewhere around 15, 16. That got intense real fast. Well, we did it. So next week we get to go up and weigh, probably go up by 5 pounds next week, maybe 10. We'll see how it goes. I don't like to jump very big on these. I've decided to pull conventional off the floor instead of doing Romanian deadlifts. I just feel like doing actual deadlifts. My grip is pretty fatigued right now because this is going to be my 5th set of 15. So I'm halfway to wanting to wear wrist straps to hold onto the bar so I don't have to think about my grip. But then I'm like, but then your grip's not going to get stronger. It's like, well, you're doing 15 reps, so you're holding on to it for a very long time. So you are getting stronger. It's just now you're going to overdo it with your grip. It's like, but is overdoing it really actually just the right amount of doing it? It feels like my hips kind of bother me, right? And it feels like it's shooting down my hamstring and my IT band. So the best thing to do when your hip bothers you is to let it know you're not playing around with it and you're the boss, and it better get its affairs in order, because now we're going to deadlift because you want to play games. So now it's just time to put some work in. We can play games on another day. Today it's time to work, right? No, all in all, my hip does feel better since I massaged it out. So it is tissue work. I'm going to do a lot of tissue work tomorrow on it. I'm stretching and see if I can't get that to kind of calm down. All right, so this is 215. I'm going to try to pull this for 15. My grip doesn't give out on my back, on my hips, on my hamstrings, or anything for that matter. This shirt used to be tight on me, and now it swallows me. Isn't that just amazing? All right, here we go. Haven't done this in a long time. It's going to be tap and go. I was gonna drop it and be dramatic. But I was gonna have to pick it back up to put it up here. And I didn't feel like doing that. Whew. See, that's more cardio than cardio. So it's like, if you're training like this, you're breathing like this after your sets, why do you feel you have to go jogging or sprinting or zone 2 cardio when you're breathing like this for an hour? You're gonna wither all your muscle mass away. Cardio is just to burn additional calories, to be able to eat more calories, to have more energy to do this. I say, well, if you just didn't do cardio, you could eat less calories and still do this. Yeah, but your conditioning would be worse. Your blood markers would be worse. And then your body would just look worse. So, all right. I do believe, I've said it last week, there are 3 very important fundamentals about training legs. The quads have 3 movements. You have a wide, you have a narrow, and then you have a knee extension. So train all 3 positions. If you don't have a leg extension, you want to go wide, you want to go medium, you want to go narrow. You want a vertical shin, you want a slightly outward shin, and then a full knee flexion movement where the knee is out over the toes. That's where the extension comes in. You don't have an extension, like front squats works really good for that, or high bar squats. Hamstrings, there's a straight-legged movement, which is a stiff-legged deadlift or a back extension. There's a partial bent Romanian deadlifts or deadlifts, good mornings. And then there is a full flexion or full contraction, which is a leg curl. I think it's very important to train all 3 positions of the quad and all 3 positions of the hamstring. And that's full development of the whole entire leg. That leaves no weak spots on your legs. Now you still have your hip adductors and your hip adductors, hip abductors, and you can do those from lunges or the hip adductor machine. And those are important too. Don't neglect the groin area and the hip flexors. But those are, I'm not going to say secondary, they're important, but they do get work, just not directly by doing all this other stuff. But they are just as important. And also, I wasn't planning on deadlifting off the floor. That's why I didn't even grab my actual deadlift bar. Next week will be different. A little tidbit on these. When you're doing these, you don't have to hyperextend and flex your back in half. Just flat is all you need to go. If you need more hamstrings, pull your ankles into the pads like you're trying to do a leg curl. You'll engage your hamstrings. If you need more glutes and hips, push your hips through the pads. So when you're coming up, drive your hips through and thrust forward. That gets the glutes, medius, maximus, hips, all that. And then if you want to get the hamstrings, pull with your hamstrings. You're still going to stay stiff, but you're going to pull with your hamstrings instead of your hips and your back. So it depends on what you want to target is how you need to pull on these. It's very important to know the difference, because if you're doing it the wrong way, you're going to target the wrong muscle, especially if you need more on the other. So, a little tidbit for you guys. Okay, let's just do a quick little thigh posing. I don't really like to pose after quad night because my thighs just look puffy. Like, and the lighting on this one, you can't ever see the detail because the lighting, it's so crazy. It's a lighting thing. This one's going to be washed out. Flexing the same way, but you can't see anything. Isn't that wild? How much lighting makes a difference? All right, I'm gonna go do cardio now. What do you guys think about my new fashion statement? I call it reflective orange. No, in all seriousness, because it gets dark so early, people don't see me. I almost got ran over the other night. I was walking around on the edge of the road, and this truck comes around a corner, and I guess they didn't see me or they weren't paying attention, so I had to literally jump out of the way before they ran me over, and they went up in the grass. So I was just like, no sir, not again. You will see me from a mile away when your lights hit me or my reflective vest. Not gonna take no chances. When I was younger, I was like, I don't care about no reflective vest. That's nighttime. I don't care if you see me. Well, now I do care, because now I know as I'm getting older how hard it is for me to see people walking at nighttime, and I'm not gonna be one of those people that don't give elderly people opportunity to see me before I see them. So anyways, so tonight, it was a good leg night. Got a good pump. You guys saw the posing. I don't really care to pose after leg night because of, well, my legs just get really puffy and they don't really look that great after my leg night. But I try to get it in there. Hopefully it looks good on camera. If not, it is what it is. I'm making great progress. This is already almost the end of week 2, and I'm just going to keep on plugging away and getting better and better. I have nothing but positive views on this whole entire program and training and process. I'm just going to keep plugging away, but I kind of lost my train of thought. Not really sure where I'm going with that. I'm just going to go ahead and end the video here because I feel like I'm just rambling about nothing. You guys have a wonderful evening or day or whatever time it is that you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.